They Look Like People is a 2015 film both written and directed by Perry Blackshear and stars McLeod Andrews, Evan Dumichel, and Margaret Ying Drake. Though this film will be the centerpiece of this review, the themes throughout all of Perry Blackshear's works will be discussed within this video as they each contain similarity in style and craft that warrants some analysis. I do not wish to spoil these films for anyone here, and I will keep any major story points out of this review. This video is more of a way for me to showcase an appreciation for these works and promote them into the limelight. Perry Blackshear films first caught my attention through digging about in forums of strange, underappreciated films in hopes to find something of interest, where eventually I stumbled across a movie poster that immediately gripped me. The image you see now is what I saw. They Look Like People, which from the cover image caught my attention. The cover image only helping the intrigue. Despite the poor ratings I found online, there were many positive comments left from viewers that gave me reason to experience it for myself, and I am very happy I did. After watching it, I can say I enjoyed it in many ways for its interesting narrative and method of eliciting horror for the audience. It had some obvious weaknesses, which I will go into, but its strong points are what made me want to make this video and share a bit on the experience. They Look Like People is indeed a very creepy movie. The opening scene alone sets a tone for the remainder that the atmosphere is going to be an unnerving one. With an effectively simple shot, we ourselves get to experience the unease that Wyatt, the central character, will come to express throughout the course of the film, and this simplistic means to a deeply effective end result is only a recurring trait throughout. In They Look Like People, the character of Wyatt goes more and more paranoid as he seems to believe the world is being overtaken by demons. Tensions run high for the audience as the film makes you look for any evidence to indicate if Wyatt is actually correct or if he's in fact deluded. And that's just part of the intrigue. Regardless of this, what are the implications if Wyatt is right or wrong? Either way, I think it's safe to say his friends are in trouble just by being near him, and that's where the suspense lies. The biggest elephant in the room when watching Blackshear's works, however, is indeed the very low budget of his films. Expect that you're going to get only a slightly higher step above from that of homemade movies. You'll immediately see a guerrilla filmmaking style that gives off a major do-it-yourself look and feel that could be a major criticism right off the bat. His more recent works, The Siren in 2019 and When I Consume You in 2021, suffer the same budget shortcomings, but offer a similar atmosphere and quality despite them. Blackshear definitely works with what he has at his disposal and does well despite this. These three films share a contained and isolating plot where the drama of the events is carried out between just a few characters. Having a small budget brings with it a small cast, and the effect this has on these films only adds to the isolation of the atmosphere. It brings a realistic sense that the characters within these stories are truly alone with no one to turn to, and if strangers of the public are witnessed, they're usually out of focus or at a distance, only increasing this effect of isolation. Despite at least two of these three films taking place within what appears like a dense urban location, the social alienation of the lead characters is strongly felt in each. This especially was ever present in When I Consume You, which had more of a narrative focus on social alienation and loneliness. Also noticeable is that the camera likes to keep very close to the characters on screen. Whether indoors in cramped apartment rooms or outdoors on city streets, the camera work manages to make the world feel small around the characters, confining them to be locked inside themselves with nowhere to escape and no one to run to for help. Giving it to my next point, that we also typically get a character in an unstable psychological state in these films, and it's through this where the central premise of the narrative is sprung. Though that begs the question if these mental states are caused by the issue itself, or if the issue is caused by the mental state, the whole chicken and the egg scenario. Anyways, the mental state of these characters seem to really pour out and suffocate the audience through the course of the story, and it never really seems to let up. The sense of isolation around these characters with the addition of their ever-present disturbed nature are what create a heavy and dark atmosphere that is an excellent starting place for horror to take hold. The actual scary or unsettling bits of these films are displayed with an effective minimalist approach, utilizing a mix of creative sound design, the element of surprise, and the film's atmosphere working together to capture the audience's fear. They Look Like People did this exceedingly well over the others with its careful execution of building tension, showing the least possible to evoke the intended feeling in the viewer, and a very effective use of sound design. In this film's case, the sound of flies buzzing to indicate a demon is in Wyatt's presence gave me major goosebumps when they occurred. As far as special effects go, we only see subtle use in these films, and the inclusion of them act as a tasteful addition when they do appear. However, special effects of any sort are experienced more so in 2021's When I Consume You, and are mostly absent in They Look Like People, which relies more so on makeup or eerie images as its biggest source of horrific imagery. A notable aspect of They Look Like People that bothered me, however, is in the film's editing. Many scenes do cut too quickly and abruptly that can break immersion and leave you feeling a little lost at the purpose of the scene, having it jump about from take to take. Conversations between characters get cut short from this editing too, which stifles some of the character interactions and leaves dialogue between characters sometimes awkward and jumbled. However, awkward interactions fill this film from a culmination of the way the characters behave, the quality of the acting, and the quality of the writing. This editing issue wasn't the case in the other two films nearly as much, as they have less character interactions overall than what we see here, but these weaknesses do infringe on what otherwise would have been an excellent film. The pacing can be considered slow in these films, and with a short runtime for all three of them, the pacing can be seen as an additional negative aspect. They Look Like People handled its pacing the best of the three, as it maintained its grip throughout, as it had enough narrative content to maximize the entertainment within most of its 80-minute runtime. Though They Look Like People is now getting upwards to being a 10-year-old film, I decided to review it as I feel like it is truly underappreciated as a pretty decent horror film, despite its super low budget. The audience rating for this film on IMDb is only a 5.9 out of 10, which is understandable in some ways, but its usage of horror and how it elicited this horror is what I hope to highlight in this video. A similar rating is seen for the other two films as well, but They Look Like People out of any of them could be rated more fairly. They Look Like People is a very creative horror film with an interesting plot and well-crafted execution, despite it feeling like an amateur movie at times. These other two films by Perry Blackshear may not be as strong narratively as They Look Like People is, but can still be recommended for the same level of creativity in invoking horror in the audience, despite their financial setbacks. My rating for They Look Like People is an 8 out of 10, and for this, I feel the film could use more recognition. It's nowhere near being a perfect film, but I have a soft spot for amateur works, and I appreciate the intent behind the production limitations. I anticipate to see what future works Perry Blackshear gets up to, and can only hope he gets a bigger budget to work with to make something truly incredible next. That's my video, and with that, I hope you enjoyed watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you next time. Thank you.